If you don't know how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, then you'll have a tough time interacting with people. Today, I want to share with you the exact same process that I've used to figure out how to be more talkative with anybody. Tip number one is to volunteer information about yourself. From what I've noticed, those who struggle socially have a bad habit of only responding with a few words when people ask them questions. For example, let's say you're a software engineer and someone's wondering what you do for work. Don't just give them a short response. This makes it hard for anybody to keep talking to you because they don't have a whole lot to work with. The person you're interacting with has to keep asking you questions, which can make things awkward. If you're wondering how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, make an effort to volunteer information about yourself. The next time someone inquires about your career, talk about what got you into it and what you like about it. Also, avoid using technical terms that only your coworkers would understand. If you do, that's just going to go over people's heads. Instead, make an effort to use simple words to talk about things that may seem complicated. By doing so, it'll be easier for anybody to maintain a conversation with you. As a result, you'll be able to build rapport with others much faster. Tip number two is to prepare your stories ahead of time. Most individuals who struggle socially lack awareness and experience interacting with people. They literally just don't know any better. If you want to know how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, make sure you prepare ahead of time. That way, you'll have a good idea what to say in different social situations. If you think about it, most people talk about similar topics over and over again anyway. That being said, make sure you prepare some stories regarding your work, your upbringing, places you've been to, events you've attended, and your interests. I know doing this sounds like a lot of work, but if you're serious about learning how to improve your conversation skills, really take the time to write these stories out. That way, you'll be able to bring up different topics much faster the next time you interact with someone. Once you have these stories written out, practice telling them whenever the opportunity presents itself. If you're willing to, I highly recommend you record yourself as well. That way, you can observe your delivery and hear how you sound when you talk to people. Tip number three is to learn new things. Remember, a boring life leads to boring conversations. You can only discuss the same topics over and over again for so long. If your typical week consists of going to work, going home, and playing video games, then something needs to change. If you want to learn how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, you need to know a little bit about a lot of things. Personally, I recommend you pay attention to trending topics, popular shows, and current events. Also, make an effort to read interesting books and try novel activities as well. The more knowledge and experiences you acquire, the more you'll have to talk about. You'll expand your perspective, which will help you relate to people much faster. Not only will you come across as someone interesting, you'll also be a lot more fun to be around. When you know you have something valuable to share, you'll feel confident interacting with anybody. Tip number four is to avoid asking close-ended questions. Have you ever been in a situation where your conversation felt like an interview? You're going through your questions back to back and you're only getting short responses? If so, there's a good chance you were using close-ended questions, which can be answered with one word. To improve the quality of your interactions, ask more open-ended questions instead. For example, instead of asking, "Do you like reading books?" you can ask, "What do you do for fun?" Do you see the difference? The first question can be answered with a yes or no, while the second one requires more of an explanation. By asking more open-ended questions, you encourage the person you're chatting with to keep sharing. And if you think about it, the more they talk, the more information you have to work with, right? As a result, that could trigger other topics that both of you can potentially discuss. Again, if you want to know how to avoid awkward silences, try to ask more open-ended questions during your interactions. Tip number five is to be a good listener. Most people who are shy and introverted tend to ruminate a lot. They're so in their heads trying to come up with the perfect thing to say that they're not even listening to the person they're talking to. Keep in mind that people can tell if you're not fully paying attention to them. And there's nothing worse being in a conversation with someone who doesn't seem all that engaged. If you want to figure out how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, you have to be a good listener. Once you've taken the time to come up with things to talk about, you just have to let things go after that. The next time you talk to someone, give the person you're with your undivided attention. Put your phone away and be present. Lean forward to show interest and really try to understand what they're saying. When you do, you'll make whoever you talk to feel special. You'll also be able to come up with relatable stories to share because you were paying attention. Remember, there's a reason why you have two ears and one mouth. Your ability to listen well is just as important as coming up with things to talk about. Tip number six is to be more relatable. Remember, familiarity builds comfort very quickly. That's why we like people who are similar to us. If you want to know how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, explore as many mutual interests as you can. For example, Let's say you and the person you're talking to are from the same hometown. Then, by all means, keep talking about that. Unfortunately, exploring mutual interests isn't always that easy. If a topic that you don't know much about comes up, then try to relate emotionally. You can do this by asking about their motivation for doing what they do. You can also ask them how certain things make them feel. From then on, you can bring up a story where you've experienced something similar in the past. The better you are at relating to others, the more likable you'll come across. People will have a positive impression of you, and they'll look forward to seeing you again. Tip number 7 is to bring up earlier topics. Most people who struggle socially approach their interactions in a very linear way. If you're wondering how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, you need to be able to pivot. If you feel like you've reached the end of a particular subject, go back to something that was mentioned earlier. For example, let's say the person you're chatting with said they just got back from a vacation. If that's the case, feel free to bring that up again and go deeper into that topic. Like I said earlier, make sure you ask open-ended questions so the person you're talking to has to explain themselves more. You can also ask follow-up questions as well. You can say things like, "Tell me more about that," or "What's that like?" By doing this, you remove the pressure on yourself to always come up with something to talk about. By being able to pivot, you'll prevent yourself from hitting a dead end when you talk to anybody. Your interactions will feel effortless, and you'll be able to connect with others much faster. Tip number 8 is to learn to tell good stories. If you want to know how to bond with others, you need to be able to convey your ideas effectively. That's why you have to be able to tell good stories. The next time you share something, make sure you structure it properly. Set it up well by giving some background information and creating contrast if it applies. You'll also want to use descriptive words to engage the senses. Leave out unnecessary details and emphasize how things make you feel instead. And then release the tension you've built up when you talk about the resolution. If you're not used to talking in this manner, make sure you practice. The more you do, the more engaging you'll come across when you interact with people. Tip number 9 is to be genuinely interested in others. People who don't feel comfortable in social situations think that all eyes are on them. They feel too self-conscious because they're overly concerned about what others think. As a result, they stifle their personality and try way too hard to fit in. But if you want to learn how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, you have to be able to take the focus away from yourself. Get out of your head and be interested in others instead. The truth is, we're all inherently selfish. If you want to appear more interesting, you have to be interested in others first. The next time you interact with someone, view yourself as a student and see what you can learn from them. By doing this, you'll make anybody you talk to feel more seen, heard, and understood. If you want to know how to be memorable in social settings, this is one of the best ways to do it. Tip number 10 is to avoid being judgmental. Remember, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And just because both of you don't agree on something doesn't make the other person wrong. If you want to know how to avoid awkward silence in a conversation, you have to be empathetic. Make an effort to see where other people are coming from. The thing is, you don't even need to agree with them. So stop trying to change their mind and convince them that you're right. You just have to put yourself in their situation and see things from their point of view. That's why whatever you do, avoid getting into an argument with someone. Also, stay away from sensitive topics like religion, politics, sex, and race. A lot of people feel very strongly about those topics. You might trigger them unknowingly if you bring it up too soon. To succeed socially, always be lighthearted, respect your differences, and focus on finding commonalities instead. If you're shy and technically skilled and you want to know how to approach and talk to anybody, remember to download your free social confidence cheat sheet. The link is in the description below. If you're tired of struggling socially and you want to learn more about our social skills coaching program, book your free consultation today and let's connect. The link is in the description below as well. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who you know who could benefit from it. All right, that's it for me for now, and I'll see you in the next video.